comprising of the SEC, the Central Bank, and the ICRC. And we developed an elaborate framework, which we also shared with stakeholders in the market. And with a lot of inputs, then we were able to hit the ball running. And because of the very technical nature of the product, we had to hire the services of experts in the market, private sector experts. Some of them are here. First Bank, First FBN Merchant Bank, and Lotus Capital, financial advisors. Then we have the trustees, who have the role of having to take the interest of the bondholders. Then we have, of course, the legal advisors. It was quite a tedious journey, I must confess. It was quite a work that some of us find very interesting to be part of. It was a big learning curve. And when we eventually were able to go through the process, especially the phrase aspect of it, and like I told the prof, I think the prof is sitting right here, that it was something I never thought I could go through, that kind of very intensive intellectual engagement with experts in Islamic finance all over the world, engaging us for a two-day walk for over almost those 2 days took off about 12 hours each. And they had to grill the structure of the transaction. And I want to briefly speak on that structure, based on which it was issued and which I think may interest us. But I know there are other papers that may want to talk about it later in the day. But I may want to say it here. It's not, you can't see it on the screen because it's not something that I had prepared to present at this meeting. But I'm sure later on, one of the papers, I'm sure one of them will be able to shoot it for you on the screen. Here we have because it's a product that has to be ethical in nature. The FGN had to kind of take a back seat and had to set up a special purpose vehicle, which we call the Sukuk, the FGN Road Sukuk Company, because the proceeds we're going to raise was going to use to build roads across this 6th geopolitical zone of the country, 25 key commercial roads given to us by the Federal Ministry of Power Works and Housing. So we first of all had to set up an XPV, who is the issuer of the product. And of course, this XPV had to take ownership, quote unquote, of the, of the asset. And upon taking the ownership of the asset, it has to now come to the market, take the money. But before then, there will be this agreement of you've taking the roads, leasing it back to the federal government, based on which, on usage of the road, then there will be rental payment for the usage to the center of the transaction, and the trustees, who are the CBN acting as registrar, and the trustees having oversight function on the activities of the use of the proceeds, and of course monitoring the road. Part of the agreement that we have with the trustees is to sign an undertaking. Number one, that the constructions of the roads, private companies to monitor the construction of the roads, and they will also be there to issue certificate of job done before payments are made, because of course the funds are warehoused. And that is the structure that we put in place. And all these are in place. A whole lot of, call it a suite of legal agreements. I think about 8 of them by all the parties that were involved. And these were prepared by the experts that were appointed to advise us on this transaction. And having done that, of course, we knew that the market was a little bit, it's an easy fancy, and we had to go to the roads to galvanized interest, and this took us to across major cities in Nigeria. We're in Kano, we're in Kaduna, we're in Port Harcourt, we're in Abuja, and we're also in Lagos, marketing and pulling up interest on the transaction. And so we're not very much surprised when we had that kind of interest.
What you have on ground, hoping that you already have a foundation, so that like when we want to do another under 15 months.
Thank you, sir. Okay, it's for now. All right, over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. I never knew I was being listened to. with the question I've gotten, I'm sure that some of us have. Well, actually, yes, the issue of commercializing the roads. Now, today, tolling is not part of our policy. Okay, and maybe the works and power could come and explain. These roads to have been built by the federal government with his own money, and now have sat down together and said, "Okay, we'll give you the money. Anyhow, you have to pay us." So I think it's the government that will take that responsibility until it decides to change its policy on tolling. So if anytime it changes policy on tolling, then come back and toll the roads. That was not part of our consideration. And the extra amount, we're sorry, we have to apologize. The amount has to be returned to the owners. In any security frame, if you cannot go it, you return it to those who gave you them, and you just played with them. You could have taken all. So we'll return the money. I'm sure the money should have returned by now to the owners. I think the hotel advisors, I'm sure they have done that. Then the issue is what next? Well, this is issuance, and every year the government to borrow money. We have several. We have now opened a window, adding the Sukuk as part of it. We know other instruments that we issue. We have the FGM bonds. We have in the foreign we have the Euro bonds. Locally we have FGM bond. We have savings book to use to assess fund for the government's acquirement. So once they ask us to go and borrow, and we look at it that is convenient for us to do, that will be a policy decision by the authorities to decide which instrument to use. But I can assure you from my own perspective that, of course, Sukuk is going to be a step in our offering. The calendar from next year will be published, and I'm sure Sukuk will be one of them. From a personal perspective, the issue of plans to now, of course, once we come, there was a test case, and now that we have interest, and we already have some what we call reverse inquiries. Like you are asking us now, when are you coming back? At that time, we'll ask you 20. When you say once you say take 20, we'll give it to you. We're able to give you what the market is. It's a market-based. It's a market-based decision. It was not something you can sit on your desk and say, look, I want to do 20, I want to do 10, I want to do 50. The market must be ready to accept it, and the market accepts it. And I'm sure you asking the question, I'm sure you know that you have the people who could also take that decision. So please help us talk to them, that when we give them 20, they take it. I'm sure that will be right. And asking for the input of, we say, exercise was purely a local-based transaction. We didn't have, at the phrase level, we didn't have any relationship with any party advising us to do anything. The RFP will put up a public that gave rise to the appointment, specifically excluded foreign parties, because we wanted to build local capacity. We want to see that we could do it, and by the grace of God, we have done it. Flexible, we don't need to go through the process again. We have had. Thank you.
you very much, Mr. Wanderiade, and of course those who ask questions. I wish to call upon Bimba Ajinibi, President of GNF.